Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it's Friday evening, so it's smile time. I hope you're all well and you've had a nice break in between the two broadcasts. For those of you who don't know, we do 3 broadcasts a week, one at Friday lunchtime, Pacific time, and that is our skills broadcast. And today we were talking about coping with less, and we had some really interesting discussions there. So if you haven't seen it, make sure that you do. It may help you in the coming months. We do this one, the Friday evening one, which is our smile time, and we all need that. And then we do a third broadcast on Sunday afternoons, and that one is we call it Soul Sunday, where we just literally slow down and just get ready for the coming week. So feel free to participate. If you are new to the broadcast, welcome. We're more than happy that you just watch. If you do start to interact with the regulars, just know I may ask you if you want me to repeat that, because some people forget that what goes on YouTube stays on YouTube if I'm talking about it. I disconnect the chat normally within an hour, sometimes immediately. It depends how good my memory is. But, I do disconnect the chat. But it's a case of what I'm talking about during the broadcast, that stays and goes on the replay. And feel free, if you're watching it on the replay, to make any comments along the way. I do check them on a regular basis, so do that. If you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, please let me know. If I don't know, I won't talk about it. So DearMamaSal is all about helping you cope with love life and other problems. And we've all got a lot of problems in our lives at the moment. But it's also a mentality. We can either choose to have a lot of problems, or we can have quite a bit of fun trying to learn how to cope without the things we're used to. So here we go. Before I forget, because I do forget these things, if you're not a subscriber, could you hit the subscribe button here? And also ring the bell. There's a bell there, and Jody will tell me, and it's going to ask you whether you want all or personalized. Hit all. That's an option, and that means whatever I'm doing on a live broadcast, you're going to know about it ahead of time. Oh, I think I had got it right that time, Jody, but I could be wrong. She'll correct me. And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and it's Happy Birthday to Jody Day. So, for a very large amount of money, I will not sing. Enable all notifications. There you go. You see? I did better, but I didn't get it right. Okay. I'll get there. It's a learning process, By the way, and please remember to follow us on Facebook and Twitter, because that's where you keep you up to date with what's going on with our extended family. And talking about the extended family, just before we get on to the smile stuff, I just wanted to obviously say happy birthday to Jody, but also as far as I know, and I could have this wrong, I've got a feeling Chloe ended up back in hospital. I need to double check on that, please, Jody. Jeannie and York were very proud of themselves. They actually employed some people to do some things that they needed done, which I thought was really cute. We can still have things done in our houses. We just have to be pretty careful. Erin is considering doing some more studying. We know that Lauren's busy occupying her mind and improving her mental health by actually studying a university course, which I think is wonderful. And Erin's considering one as well. I have tried to get hold of Lizzie twice to find out about the operation that she was due to have at the end of March, but I'm pretty sure she didn't have it. Kimmy and Adrian, from what I understand, Kimmy didn't end up going back home, or maybe she did. Anyway, I know that there was some issue there, but we'll check with her. She normally checks in on the Friday evening one, so we'll find out from her. Emma in Ireland, I think she got out of hospital, but not sure. As far as I know, she got out of hospital. I haven't had an update since then. All right, and the same with the Brit. fiance Lena. I haven't had I believe she's doing fine. She did get the virus, but she's doing fine as far as I know. And Boston Paul was on the mend as well. So that's all that I have on the follow-ups. If any of you have a birthday or some sort of celebration in April, please let me know so I can add it to our list. Here we go. Thanks to Jody for these, and some of them are really priceless. There's some of them I want to tell you that I literally laughed out loud, and I'll let you know which ones really touched my funny bone. How many of you relate to this one? Don't ever let anybody tell you that fairy tales are not real. I drink a potion made from magic beans every day, and it brings me back to life. Yeah, right. Me and my magic beans. Loved it, Jody. All right, how about this one? Yeah, Sandy relates to that as well. Okay, let's get control now. Ready? I always say morning instead of good morning, because if it was a good morning, I'd still be asleep. And for those of you who know that I still hear my mother correcting my English in my head, 25 years after she passed, I want to tell you, she is busy trying to tell me that don't they know after if and wish comes were, not was. Do any of you relate to that? Can you still hear somebody correcting your English or your table manners or whatever? Miss Mia, my mom, she's really good. She passed, but she still corrects me. So I'm going to do it the right way so that she'll shut up in my head now. I always say morning instead of good morning, because if it were a good morning, I'd still be asleep. Lordy. Even Jody came back with one during the week. She could hear my mommy. All right, how many of you feel a bit like this one? Starting tomorrow, whatever life throws at me, I'm ducking so it'll hit somebody else. I could relate to that one, Jody. All right, I've had enough for 1 week, right? Don't need any more. And by the way, I always say to Jody, don't worry, if it amuses you, it's bound to amuse me. So, and she really does a good job on these. All right, so here's the next one. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes: small, large, circle, square, thin crust, thick crust, stuffed crust, and extra toppings. I really like that. All right, here we go. I think something's missing in my life. Like $2 to $3 million. Yeah. All right. And how many of you, if you suddenly had $2 to $3 million, would give most of it away anyway? This is the peculiar thing about life, isn't it? And for those of you who have decided to take this quarantine time to do spring cleaning, Perhaps you will relate to this one. I've just cleaned the house top to bottom. So now I'm going to need everybody to stop living here. You have no idea how much of a mess I made on this countertop between the two broadcasts. I was transferring seedlings. I had such a mess. It's called a nyaga nyaga in Zulu, but I had a real nyaga nyaga going on here. And there was stuff all over, all over my stove and everything else. And it was just like, yeah, I think I better clean that up before I do the broadcast. And by the way, after I finish the broadcast, it's the most magical time of my week. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but there's something about finishing the Friday broadcast. And I know I don't have to get up for anything on Saturdays because I planned my life that way. And then it's like I can stay up for as late as I want on Saturday night, and I can binge watch whatever I want, and then I can sleep in for as long as I want because it's Saturday. I don't know why I get so excited about Saturdays, but I do. All right. One of the joys of being retired. You're going, Sal, but every day is Saturday when you're retired. No, it isn't. You think it is, but it's not. All right. How about this one? Do any of you relate to this one? We're all brave in our own way. For example, I am not afraid of raw cookie dough. Yeah, I made I made some stuff this week with some sort of mixture out of a packet, and I wasn't afraid of it either. It's like the best part of baking is cleaning up the bowl, right? It still is. Yeah, Jody's saying I take my chances. I wonder who the spoil sport was that said we can't do that anymore. It's like, hello. All right, so how about this one? Right. To me, it's just like, seriously? It's the whole, what's the point of baking if you can't lick the bowl? I mean, really. The older you get, the better you get. Unless, of course, you're a banana. Anything funny happened to any of you this week, just while we're doing this? Let me know if I can repeat anything funny that happened. I was saying at lunchtime, it was really cute. The son of the woman who used to own this house before me, he came to visit. And we had this incredible social distance going on, but we had such a nice visit. And I gave him a virtual hug and said how kind it was that he came to check on me and make sure I was okay. And I said, you really are so kind to me. And he said, why would I not be so kind to the person who loved my mommy's house as much as she did? And I went, yeah, that's true. So I thought that was really cute, and it was just like, of course, there's part of me that goes, I hope I don't end up the same way she did. But, that's, never mind. So how about this one? Insomnia, that lack of sleep thing, sharpens your math skills because you spend all night calculating how much sleep you'll get if you were able to fall asleep right now. I definitely relate to that. I spent much of my life on the road. I was, a performer, and I spent a lot of time on the road and in hotels and all sorts of things. And, sometimes, in order to get to do a speech, I'd be up at some ungodly hour in the morning. And the first time that I would see my hotel room might be 2:00 in the next morning, and it was just like, seriously, And I've got to catch the 9 o'clock flight, but I've got to be at the airport by 7, which means I've got to be getting the cab by 6, which means I have got to be up by 5 and make sure I pack before I go to sleep. And that means I got 2 hours, 3 hours sleep. I was doing that calculation all the time. Yeah. So Jody's talking about watching the clock radio flip numbers. How many of you relate to that one? How many of you have had one of those clock radios where, yeah, like another one? Okay. Yeah, it's cute. And now this one definitely is important for us all, because this one is, dear life, when I said, can this day get any worse? It was a rhetorical question, not a challenge. I stop myself. If I find myself saying, seriously, can this day get any worse? I go, sorry, I didn't mean that. Do not bring me worse. I'm fine with how it is right now. Oh, Sandy's screensaver does that, the number flip. That's awesome. Yeah, so if you find yourself saying those words, can this day get any worse, or can it get any worse, just go, I'm sorry. It's fine. This is good enough. Don't. Sometimes I can go hours without drinking coffee. It's called sleeping. I like that one, Jody. Now, I did put this next one up on Facebook. In case you missed it, here it is again. Day 4 of social distancing. I struck up a conversation with a spider today. Seemed nice. He's a web designer. Now, there's a lot of reality in this next one, so take a deep breath. Are you ready? Have you ever noticed that anybody driving slower than you is an idiot? And anyone driving faster than you is a maniac? That's so true. Because your speed is the right speed for you, right? Niasha is saying, sorry for the interruption, but is anyone else broadcast sticking, or is it just mine? Can't follow along in real time. Okay, is it buffering for everybody, or just Niasha? How many screens have you got open, Niasha? Sometimes the number of screens will make a difference. Thank you, Karen. That's very kind of you. All right, so the trick to it, Jody's saying hers is a little bit. Niasha, the trick to it is do not look at my mouth. All right? Because, I've got that problem with my television, so I think it might also be something to do with the feed. But, the truth is, if you don't look at the mouth, you don't notice it. It's only when you're looking at the mouth and you're trying to get the words to match what the mouth is doing that it becomes frustrating. So, look at my eyes, look at my hair, look at the, whatever. But don't look at my lips and you'll be just fine. All right, so here we go. This one really, hi there, Lauren. Good to see you. This one really did amuse me at many levels. Why must I prove that I am me when I pay bills over the phone? Did somebody else call and try and pay my bills? And if they did, why don't they let them? It's like, yeah, be my guest, feel free. How many of you have ever paid for something for the person that's behind you in the lineup, just for the fun of it? Yeah, I laughed with it too, Jody. I have to tell you. But how many of you have done that? How many of you have seen that the person behind you has just got a candy bar or something, and you just quietly go, and I'll pay for the candy bar behind me too? Um, and then just leave. The trick is not to wait for the thank you. The trick is just to leave and chuckle as you, hightail it back to your vehicle, or whatever, however you got there. Because I think the joy in doing that is not that they get to thank you. The joy in doing it is to do it and run. I've done it a number of times, and it's really quite rewarding. Have any of you have ever done that? Right. So Jody's saying we pay tolls for a few cars behind us at the booths. Yeah, what a lovely idea, right? The lady, the couple in the car, 3 cars down, paid for your booth thing. Yeah, you're free to go. I bet you people sit there and argue and go, no, I didn't. And you go, no, the other car paid for you. Why? I bet you they argue about it. Nyasha saying, was trying to listen on my laptop, but it was sticking there. So I closed the window, good, and got my phone, and it's there too. Anyway, thanks for the tip. Yeah, it's just a thing that I've learned when you've got buffering. Just don't look at the mouth. Well, welcome to your phone. Hi, phone. Good to meet you. A waffle is just a considerate pancake. It's like, yeah, let me hold that syrup for you in these nice little convenient boxes. Loved it, Jody. The kid in me, the kid in me was so amused with that one. I could just sort of see it. Yeah. Let me hold it in these nice little convenient boxes. Whoever wrote that one, does it say who wrote it? No. But I can I can relate to that. Really? I made a huge to-do list for today. I just can't figure out who's going to do it. That is the story of my life. Actually, I've crossed quite a few things. I've got this routine that I do every day. And I sort of got, okay, how far have I got with the routine? I've done the outside garden, I've done the inside garden, I've done a wash. I sort of have these little checklists that I go through. It's just like, it's amazing. How many of you have to do that? You just actually have a checklist because it's much easier that way. And I'm going, yeah, dishwasher already. Um, you know, did I eat? Yeah, I did have something to eat. That was good. What did I have? You're asking me. Let me think. A multigrain cheese and cucumber sandwich. How about that for being healthy? I was quite proud of myself. How many of you remember when teachers used to say to us, you won't have a calculator wherever you go? Well, we showed them, didn't we? On our phones, on our watches. It's like, yeah, right, we will. because we needed them. Therefore, it became possible. Okay, so this is nice one. Karen saying, I made a jar of ideas. Then I pick one so I can have a fun, spontaneous thing to do. That is so clever. That is so clever. You know, your own little fun thing. What's the next thing I'm going to do? Take it out of the jar, you know, and then put it into another jar for another day. Yeah. And, you know, the trick is as well, as you all know, I have these what I call 10-minute moments where I do something for 10 minutes because, you know, any more than that's going to drive me insane. And you will be amazed how many times I can clear a whole box in 10 minutes. For those of you who don't know, I am still in the process of unpacking. And I undid a box between the two broadcasts because I thought I can at least get the box open, you know, in 10 minutes. And I opened it up. And what was it filled up with? It was filled up with folded cubies and a waste paper basket. And I'm going, I won the lottery. This is like, get the cubies out, get the waste paper basket out. Done, one box less. You know, it was just amazing. And I went, oh, I like that. Yeah. So how many of you can remember that? You're probably not as old as I am, but I remember when they first brought calculators in. Like, how many of you remember that? You know, and I remember when they first said, you know, we'll end up where every household, you know, just about every household will have a computer. At that time, a computer took up a whole city block. And I'm going, yeah, right. You're going to fit that in a house? Yeah, right. What I didn't know was you'd be able to put it on your wrist. That was the scary thing. All right, so Nyasha's saying, definitely this quarantine is boring. I don't know. Okay, if it's the thought of the pandemic hanging over us, but it's definitely trying. You know something, it's only as boring as you want it to be. If you keep busy, it's not boring. I haven't been bored. I've been more busy since the pandemic started than ever because I am making sure I am busy. I don't want to be thinking about that stuff. I want to be creating. I want to be doing. I want to show something, you know, some progress every day that, hello, I'm not wasting my time worrying myself sick. What I'm doing is getting on with life. Get on with life. You might be grateful for it. Yeah, Jody's saying she hasn't had a boring day either. All right. How many of you agree with me? It's a mentality. You know, if you sit around and do diddly, you will be bored. You know, don't be bored. Get up off your butt and do something. And or hang on for this one. I wish I were a kid again. Actually, it's got the bad English again. I wish I was a kid again. So everybody would be proud of me for taking a long nap. You know, it's just like, yeah, I can do that. One of the things I found, I don't know if I told you guys this, but when I moved to my new house here, I actually made a commitment to myself that I would not work on my computer in the bedroom. That was a commitment. I said I will not do that because it meant I spent way too much time in the one room and I didn't, you know, use enough of my house. And so when I moved, I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm allowed to have a television in my bedroom because I go to sleep with that white noise. But you know, the funny thing is that I don't use my computer in my bedroom. And it actually does change the way I spend my life. And when I go to bed, I am tired, right? And then, you know, when I wake up, I don't get to use my computer in my bedroom, so you know I'm going to grab a coffee and then go and check the emails in my TV room. So, you know, I turn on the news and I have my coffee and I check the emails all at the same time because, you know, I'm a multitasker. So I dusted once. It came back. I'm not falling for that again. Jody, I really like that. Anybody relate? Sandy relate? Yeah, Isabel. Someone asked me if I was stranded on a desert island, what book would I bring? Stephen Wright said, How to Build a Boat. How many of you going, I would never have thought of that? Yeah. It's true. Now, where Jody found this next one, I don't know, but boy, I certainly relate to it. Are you ready? Laundry. Washing, 30 minutes. Drying, an hour. Putting it away, 7 to 10 business days. Karen's asking, is this coffee? It's latte. My special. Isabel's also saying that is so true. Actually, I've got a rotating QB with me these days. I have one QB and it's got handles on it. And I take it into whatever room I happen to be in. So if I'm in the bathroom and I have things that don't belong there, I throw it in the QBs. All right. And then then I will move to the bedroom. And then I'll check the QB. Is there anything in the QB that needs to go in the bedroom? No. Okay. And what is in the bedroom that shouldn't be there? And I just throw it in. And I keep walking around all day long with this QB going from room to room. And you'll be amazed. Yeah, I throw the laundry in there in small amounts, and just keep going because I'm going to end up back in the bathroom again, for obvious reasons. And then I offload, this part of the laundry, and I sort of got this rotation going. Works for me. Thanks, Jody. I saw that. Thank you. All right, get a grip, people. All right, get a grip. I don't like to think before I speak. I like to be just as surprised as everybody else when I open my mouth. Hi, Nana. I remember one boss of mine saying to me, Sal, have you ever considered walking instead of running in your life? And I went, what? And he said, have you considered just walking instead of running? And I went, no. Why? Why walk if you can run? And he said, well, it's just a lot easier. And I'm going, well, maybe for you. Okay, ready? It's okay if you fall apart sometimes. Tacos fall apart and we still love them. Jody, you must have had such fun finding these. So I'm trying something new while I broadcast. I've got a step stool here because, as you know, I am trying to strengthen my hip joints, and It's quite interesting having a step stool because it makes you stand up straight, which is fine, except I'm used to leaning in to do the broadcast. And so I've really got to lean in, and I'm thinking that's not altogether bad. It's stretching all sorts of muscles when I do that. But you can probably see me change feet, right? So bear with me, it's working. No, Nyasha, you cannot you cannot boot other people out, honey. Right? It's nothing to do with you. How many of you relate to that one where something funny happens and you go, was I responsible for that? No. Yeah, Jody just hit a wrong thing. Story of my life. I can I can remember one day I was talking to somebody and I actually was being funny and I stomped my foot, hard on the floor, and we were all laughing about it. But a few minutes later, there was the Seattle earthquake, and I kept going to I phoned up this friend and I said, "Do you think it's because I stomped my foot yesterday?" I don't know why I thought I'd created that. I couldn't find a parking spot at work today, so I went home. Looked like they had enough people. And some days I amaze myself. Other days I look for my phone while I'm talking into it. How many of you have gone looking for your glasses only to find out that you're wearing them? Been there, done that. I'm inclined to wear them on top of my head. Especially if I go to a store. I've got different glasses because I don't do the bifocal or trifocal thing well. So I have different ones. So, I'm trying to put my driving glasses on top of my head, and then I will put on my reading glasses. And then, later on, I'm trying to work out why I can't find my glasses. I cannot tell you how many people have said to me, would they be the ones that are on top of your head? And I go, probably. Huh? Anybody relate to that? Have you ever gone looking for your keys while you're holding them? All right. It's just like, yeah. And the other thing is this, if you walk around the house and you suddenly find your milk where it shouldn't be, how many of you have gone, if the milk is there, what did I put in the fridge? I've done that. Jody's saying, I tried to change the TV channel with the landline phone. They were side by side. Yeah, it's amazing how that doesn't work, does it? Or you can hear the tone that tells you that, somebody sent you a note on Facebook, and you pick up your phone and you're trying to work out why you can't answer I've done it with the landline. No problem at all. One of my one of my favorite comics of all time, Dave Barry, said, never under any circumstances take a sleeping pill and a laxative on the same night. Yeah. So last night, the internet stopped working. So I spent a few hours with my family. They seem like good people. Jody, you must have had such fun with these. Because we are. How many of you agree with me? Yeah. Way to go, Jody. Oh, gosh. How about this one? um, there is no angry way to say bubbles. So, how many of you, I can remember when I was young, we were allowed to go out to Sunday lunch sometimes at a restaurant when we were children. And there were 5 of us children, a blended family. And we always had to be on our very best behavior. I don't know if any of you relate to this, but I can tell you that the funniest thing always was, that you ended up with some sort of drink in a straw and you made bubbles. I can remember my mother looking at me, and only a look that a mother can give, the one, going, Sally, if you do that one more time, you are not coming out to lunch ever again. I believed her. And she only ever called and she only ever called me Sally when she was angry. Now this one has a story behind it, but this is that awkward moment when you sing the wrong part of a song with confidence. Have any of you ever done that? Maybe when you're singing a Christmas carol where you think you know the next verse, but you got the wrong one. Everybody else is singing another verse and you're going, oh, I guess I got that one wrong. Some of you have heard the story where I was doing an event for Doug, and we were doing a rugby sevens event. And it was quite funny because I was acting as the MC and we had the lieutenant governor there. And, it's all very, very strict protocol and everything when you're dealing with a lieutenant governor. So I'm at the microphone and I'm about to, introduce the lieutenant governor. But before you can do that, you have to sing the national anthem, obviously. And so I was just about to go into that when somebody passed me a note and it said, the audio guy forgot the national anthem music. Now, the trick is that you don't let that horrific news spread onto your face and you just, you think whatever you like, but you just keep smiling and, you just nod to the person who brought you that note. And here I am in front of 3,000 people. And we need to sing the national anthem of O Canada, and there is no music, which means that I am going to have to sing. And it was really quite funny because what I said to the audience was, I told them the truth, because I've always found that's funny. If you can tell the truth, it's 9 times out of 10, the truth is funnier than any joke. And I said, you're going to love this one. Round about now, we're going to sing the national anthem, but the AV guy, for some reason, cannot find the music. I didn't say that he'd forgotten it. But, I said, so that means that we're going to have to sing it together. And that means that I probably am going to need to lead it off for you. Now, I need to tell you, I'm not the world's greatest singer. So here is the good news. If you join in really early, you won't suffer too much. But if you leave me hanging, people, you will be so sorry. And it was quite funny because I started it. If you'd ever asked me, have you ever sung in front of 3,000 people? I get to say, yes, I did. But, the funny thing was that they started so well. And then what they did is they started to drift off, and I'm looking at them, and I hit the microphone. You know that terrible noise a microphone makes when you hit it, boom, boom. And I went, get attention here, people. And I started to sing the next few words, and I'm going, and it was the cutest thing, because when we'd finished it, I got to formally introduce the Lieutenant Governor of Canada. And when he got to the microphone and he said, Sal, I have to tell you, that was the most entertaining singing of the national anthem I have ever witnessed. I just, what do you expect, Sal? He was so good. He really was good. He was a great sport. And, the funniest thing was, there's all this pomp and ceremony about all the protocol you need to do when you're entertaining a lieutenant governor. And at the end, we're doing the formal goodbye line. He shook hands with Doug, and he shook hands with this person and that person. And I was the last one, because I am his official host for the day. And when he got to me, he didn't even bother to try and shake my hand. He just came right in and gave me the greatest hug. And I just went, how does he know? And I gave him the greatest hug back. And then I said, oh, and we left a little present for you in the car, his limo. Thank you, MR. And we left a little present for you in the car. And he said, you did? And I said, yeah. We heard you like bananas when you're traveling, so we left a couple there for you. We bought him this really nice gift as well, but it was the bananas he really liked. And how about this one? Potatoes make French fries, chips, and vodka. It's like the other vegetables aren't even trying. Oh, Jody, you did a good job. You must have had such fun putting these together. Okay, get a grip, Sal. Get a grip. The fridge is a perfect example of what matters is on the inside. Which is probably why mine's overflowing. All right, are you ready for this one? Lazy is such an ugly word. I prefer to call it selective participation. How many of you feel that you're selectively participating in the world at the moment? Oh, this was definitely my quote for the week, Jody. If ever there was a quote that identified what I was going through this week, this is it. My housekeeping style is best described as, there appears to have been a struggle. Yeah. Yeah. My house started to look so bad, and I'm going, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want my house to look like this. And I'm going, well, what are you going to do about it? You need to tidy it up. I got too many things out of boxes. So the answer is to get things back into boxes, because obviously I'm trying to unpack too much at the same time, because the house is a mess. So, I have to put stuff back into boxes to tidy it up again. And Jody found this one, and it said, I'm pretty sure my dream job would be the karma delivery person. How many of you going, yeah, I've got a few bits of karma I'd like to pass on to people, because I know they deserve it. Some of you might have had mums that did this. Nobody is full of false hope more than a mum who places items on the stairs for her family members to carry up. How many of you had that, where things that had to go upstairs were put on the stairs and you were meant to take your stuff with you? Yeah, right. I used to have a great system, when at one point in my life I inherited 3 children. And you can imagine my mummy skills were, very different. I had management skills, but I didn't have mummy skills. Some of you, gained mummy skills. Well, I didn't. I just had management skills. So what I would do is and some of you know the story already, but I would actually give the children their allowance every week on a blackboard. This is before we had whiteboards. And I would write it up on the blackboard. And then if I had to nag them, I'd start just deducting money. Boy, that got their attention. It was the reverse of what most people do. I started off by giving them their full allowance, and then I'd slowly be deducting money off. They learned 2 things. Number 1, don't wait for the 3rd reminder. And number 2, boy, did they learn math quickly. They also knew if I went to the blackboard, I wasn't adding stuff on, except I did make a bonus system when I realized there might be an advantage in doing that. So I actually came up with things that you could do to make up the difference. And I was married at the time to somebody who was a world-renowned racing driver. And the funny thing was that he had won an awful lot of trophies in his day. And so what I thought I would do is teach the children how to clean silver and then give them bonus points on their allowance, every time they clean silver. Well, you can imagine children being children. They thought that was a great idea. So the first day they collected all this silver and they put it, I had a really big kitchen, bigger than this one. With a lot of floor space. And the first thing they did is bring all this silver down, and they dropped it all in the kitchen. And they then got the silver, which is what we used to clean silver with in those days, and they managed to drop that all over the kitchen. And then they got bored really quickly. And, there was silver on half the silver or quarter of the silver, but, they never bothered to clean it off. And I realized I'd created a living nightmare of all this silver on the floor. And I needed to, somehow or other get to the bits that had already got silver on them and get them dry. And so then I just called the children back and I said, okay, here's the deal. The ones that got silver on need to have the silver taken off them now, or else I will be deducting money. And all these and all these trophies that you have chosen not to clean need to go back where they belong within the next hour. I knew it was a big job, so I gave them an hour to do it. But it was so funny, the next time I offered bonus money to clean silver, I noticed they brought one out at a time. So it was a good management lesson. Also, it always used to make me laugh because they go, Sal, can we go swimming? You bet, yeah. When? As soon as I finish the housework. When will that be? Depends how much you help me. And this one for all of you who've ever had children. Cleaning with a toddler around is like raking leaves in a hurricane. No, I do not see the children, Nana. They are in Africa. So no, I haven't seen them for many, many years. So cleaning with a toddler around is like raking leaves in a hurricane. And how many of you can remember those days? Clean after they've gone to bed, right? I must admit that I love it when I go down to see the girls, well, in the days when I could, The cleanup song that they sing, we never had that in my household. And I love it. Every now and then I hear the cleanup song and I go, oh, this is fun to watch. And it's like, it's amazing that the kids can get everything clean in the time that the song takes. It's really great. Oh, Sandy, you're living with it now, all right? Best of luck, honey. Jody, I don't know where you found this next one, but I'm going, boy, I wish I'd had that, before I got married. Here's the quote. I wish people came with a 30-second trailer so I could see what I'm getting myself into. How many of you are going, yeah, there are a few people I've met in my life that I would have liked that warning ahead of time. And I actually said to somebody, I think that almost we should all, have a scorecard for people we meet in our life that they have to pass on to the next person. You'd save a lot of time, wouldn't it? Some people should use glue stick instead of chapstick. Oh, I really like that one. Nice one, Jody. I hope you weren't talking about me, Jody. So, Jody, you haven't told us, what was the super glue, Lauren is saying. Yeah, I've got a few people I'd like to have super glue there. Jody, so you had a birthday cake. Did you bake it or did Lionel bake it for you? I saw the birthday cake. Looks so good. But I had a feeling maybe you didn't bake it. Right. Niash saying, oh, that cleanup song. I'm definitely going to teach my godchild and niece cousin. I'm so happy to be a godmom, though I can't believe it. Yes, believe it. Believe it. You deserved it. So you baked it together. I mixed and he poured and baked. How about that? So you mixed to make sure it was right. And we actually did some fun things at lunchtime about not wasting food and so forth. And one of the things I was talking about was, I no longer throw away the end of my cereal packets. You know that grunge that's at the bottom of your cereal packet? I just put that on top of muffins and sometimes into muffins or something. Just, it's amazing. It's very useful. And nearly 9 times out of 10, if you take a sieve, you've got instant sweetener in there because that's what it is, that's at the bottom. It's like a really nice way to save money on sweetener. Saying have a nice day to someone sounds friendly. But how come enjoy your next 24 hours sounds threatening? It does, I agree. So, yeah, so Jody's saying brilliant, the cereal crumbs. But Jody liked one better than that. I was teaching, I think I've put them away already. I was teaching, here we go. I was teaching everybody how to refill these sort of air fresheners. Don't buy new ones, refill them. Because, you don't have to go buy new ones if you got the trick, which of course I spent some time going, there has to be a way to refill these. Let me find out what it is, in my mind. And eventually I came up with the answer. It took me a few tries to work out how to do it, but I did it. And now I don't need to buy new ones. I just refill them. It's like so easy once you know how. Jody's going, I wouldn't have thought of that in 10 lifetimes. Jody, I've got a weird mind, haven't I? Because I do think about things like that. I get so upset, as you know, about this built-in obsolescence where they sell you the gizmo and now for the rest of your life, you've got to buy the bits that go inside it. No, I don't. No, you only think I do. You have now given me a new challenge and I will have lots of fun experimenting. You've never seen an air freshener? I think it's a Febreze one. I think it's one of the Febreze small space ones. But anyone like this? I didn't get to this today, but the ones that clip in like this, I found out how to recharge those as well. I'll do that another day. Anyway, so yeah, it's possible to do. If you want to know how, watch the noon broadcast. Jody, this one was cute beyond belief. That cupcakes are muffins that believed in miracles. I don't know about you, but it's like, I know that I am not really meant to have too much in the way of sweet things, all right, because I'm pre-diabetic. But, Jody taught me a long time ago that a cupcake doesn't count. And so when I make cupcakes, I make sure to put icing on them because I know that doesn't count. And funny enough, 9 times out of 10, if I only have one, it doesn't. This one, it could be more true today than it's been ever before, with us all learning how to save money and maybe learning how to cut our own hair. But listen to this one. I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but if you're going through a rough time, don't cut your bangs. I can so relate to that. Yeah, Jody's going, anything mini doesn't count either. If you find a mini Mars bar, that doesn't count. And also, if you eat something at the kitchen sink, apparently, that doesn't count either. And so that's awesome. Nana says she's got one more day of her 7-day challenge. All right, so now Isabel. Yeah, here we go. Are you ready for the next one? Never make the same mistake twice. I make it like 5 or 6 times just to be sure. I've always said that, for some reason, God keeps giving you the same lesson over and over again until you learn it. And I find by about the 4th time, I'm getting tired of this lesson. And I can hear him saying, then learn it. And I go, okay, fine, if I must. When life shuts a door, open it again. It's a door. That's how they work. And how many of you would like this one? I want to live in a world where emails burn calories. Or how about tweets burn calories? Or maybe even where Facebook messaging burns calories. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Jody, this next one I know must have made you chuckle a great deal. She found this quote and it said, "My birthstone is coffee bean." And how about this one? I had a really extremely busy day today. I was converting oxygen to carbon dioxide. Jody's saying if messaging burned calories, I'd be Twiggy. How many of you even know who Twiggy was? Now, there's the thing, Jody. I know who Twiggy was. How many of you do know who Twiggy was? I would think Nana probably knows who Twiggy was. Anybody not know who Twiggy was? And probably still is. And for those of you who don't know, she was an extremely famous model of the 60s, the time of hot pants and Mary Quant and all those sort of things. And she was, they called her Twiggy because she was so incredibly thin. You know, today she wouldn't be allowed to model at that size because, you know, it's considered to be no longer acceptable to have a model that thin. But she really was. She was anorexic before it became the in thing. So a very thin model indeed, yeah. That's why they called her Twiggy. My boss told me to have a good day, so I went home. Remember the days when we could go to work before the pandemic? I don't have any bad habits. I'm good at all of them. I liked it, Jody. All right, and how about this one? No, I don't really rise and shine. Most days I just caffeinate and hope for the best. Wow, there's a factoid. Jody's telling me that Twiggy is now 70. So I am older than Twiggy by a couple of years. And I bet you she still looks great. You know, of course she does. She's a model. Now, how many of you relate to this one? Because it's interesting. The quote is, I find these days that most of my conversations start with, did I tell you this already? Or, what was I going to say? Yep, I relate to that one. Shouldn't laugh this much, right? Yes, she's still gorgeous. I can imagine. I can absolutely imagine, you know, and really when I think about it, none of us who survived the 70s should still, you know, be gorgeous today, right? Because we really did live a very strange lifestyle in the 70s. Some of us anyway. And when I think about the fashions, how did we ever wear those clothes? Really? How did we ever think that those clothes were nice? And particularly the guys, you know, the orange suits, the long pointy collars, the plaid suits. You know, there were so many things when you look back and you go, you know, that was done in the 70s because, you know, the fashion was quite something else. Yeah, Jody's relating to, yeah, did I say this already today? I'm always doing that. Did I tell you this already? All right. Bye, Nana. So, of course, I talk to myself. Sometimes I need expert advice. Hmm. Who knows me better? The light blue leisure suit. Yeah, the leisure suit. That was the thing. But I can remember not just light blue, it was orange. It was, how about some of those shirts that made Hawaiian shirts look quite tame? Yeah, I mean, and orange, everything was orange and brown. I remember it so well. Strapless, yeah. Um, no shape. Oh, I remember caftans. Yeah, I remember them so well. But what I remember way more was the white knee-high boots in fake leather, white. And then the hot pants suit um, with an orange gilet that we called it. What do you call that in North America? It's like a long vest without any sleeves. What do they call that in North America? I have no idea. We called it a gilet in England. I'm certain somebody will know what they're called. But it was literally like a long cardigan, a duster. Okay, a long cardigan without, and it could either be knitted or it could be made of material, but it didn't have sleeves in it. Yeah, I remember it very well. That was my favorite time. I hit the front of a newspaper wearing that outfit, now that I think about it. I was quite surprised. Somebody took a picture of me, and it was, fashion in the 70s. And there I was, with my legs going all the way up to my eyebrows. I remember that quite well. Stephen Wright said, I went to a restaurant that serves breakfast at any time. So I ordered French toast during the Renaissance. Oh, Niesh is saying, wow, the 70s sound weird and strange. You have no idea how weird and strange the 70s were, Niesh. In fact, let me find out from my viewers, those of you who remember the 70s, if Niesh wanted to see television from the 70s, and I'm sure that some of it must be on YouTube, what would she look for to give her a sense of the style? That new newish Brad Pitt movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? I think that was based a lot on the 70s, what they were wearing, stuff from the 70s. If you watch Smokey and the Bandit, that was in the 70s, I think. Movie. Let me think what other movies were based in the 70s. Things like the Rockford Files, was, I think, in the 70s. So there's so many. I would actually, Nyasha, I would actually Google television shows from the 70s. And there is one actually called that 70s show, I think. Laughing, Three's Company, Happy Days. Yes, Happy Days, very definitely. In fact, I think Happy Days was even earlier than the 70s. Laughing, definitely, but Happy Days was more about the slick hair and stuff. I think that was more the 50s than the 70s, Jody. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. Happy Days to me was more about the slick hairstyle and stuff like that. Yeah, Nyasha's saying, yes, I'd love to see life back then. I was born in the 80s. Exactly. So, it's interesting. And if you look to what it was like in the 50s, that was completely different. In the 50s, we had big balloon skirts. I remember this so well. My first date I went on, I had this big balloon skirt, and you had shoes and bobby socks on, and let me think what else. Yeah, the Letterman sweaters would be then as well. So it was really funny. The 50s was completely different. And then we got to the 60s, and that was short mini skirts, it was hot pants. We totally went insane. And then we hit the 70s, where the dresses were all kaftan and down to the ground. And we wore flowers in our hair. And we did. I can just remember it. And the worst thing that ever happened to me, I remember when I was in Africa, I was talking to somebody from IBM. And I said, one of my favorite memories of that time was I met a guy, really great looking guy. And I met him in London. And he had, this incredible ability to wear these mad clothes and everything. And I have no idea what he was smoking, but obviously it was good. Anyway, I kept telling the story about this guy that I'd met, and I'm not joking. The next week, I'm in my office, and who walks in? But the guy. And this is a guy that I was talking about that was in London, and I'm talking about him in Africa, and he walks into my office a week later. And he goes, I hear you've been telling stories about me. And I went, yeah, and they were true. I'm sorry if you didn't like them, but they were true stories. Kez is saying you should do a video about your interesting life hacks. For example, which ones did you find interesting, Kez? Yeah, I want to tell you, Jody, I nearly passed out as well. I was busy working away, and I looked up and I just saw this face, and I went, wow, am I dreaming? And he said, no, I am right here. And I went, you're in the wrong country. So, Kez, what sort of life hacks? I think I do videos on life hacks. But I'm interested to know which ones you liked. Tell me more. I sort of have a mentality. I don't know what it is about me, but I just have that mentality that goes, there has to be another way around this product. And then I don't care if it takes me a year. I will keep, trying things out until I find one that works. I was talking at lunchtime about I make my own washing powder most of the time. I make my own dishwasher powder. I make my own Windex. I make my own shower cleaner. I mean, it's just like, it can't be that difficult. Right? And what I love is there's so much on the internet these days. You really don't have to think very hard. And it saves you a fortune. Yeah, it really does save a fortune of money. And most of the time, the recipes for these things are very ordinary. In other words, you've probably already got the ingredients in your house. I was showing at lunchtime that I think to make your own washing powder, you need some sunlight soap, some borax, and then maybe some, what's the other common thing? There's another thing that goes in. I'm trying to remember what the third one is. Can't think what it is. Somebody will probably know. But it's like the things that you've probably got in the house anyway. I remember early on in my youth having sunlight soap, borax, and there's a third ingredient. Oh, Jody really liked my, yeah, for those of you, I don't know if any of you saw that. Hang on, Jody. I've got to think about that. Do I have one of those containers close by? Wait 1 second. All right, so this one is really simple. If you make your own popcorn at home, what I do is I have a bigger version of one of these, you know, with the holes in it. And what I do is I cut one hole a little bit bigger than it is at the moment. I don't know if you can see the holes in there. Oh, that's the other one. Thank you, Sandy. Washing soda, borax, and sunlight. But, you know, the proportions are the important thing, and you can just check that on the internet. Anyway, so what I do is I'll put the popcorn into my magic thing like this, and I will shake it so the hole is big enough that the kernels, if there are any left in there, fall out, and you're left with popcorn. Jody always loved that one. So, you know, what's Kev's saying here, I tried that as a teenager, and it turned out very crooked. My mom took me to the hairdressers, and it ended up being very short. But instead of telling my mom, I cut it and said I got my hairbrush stuck in it and had to cut it. Yeah. You know, how many of you really have learned how to cut your own hair? And you know, I think, you know, you're going to need to learn, because I'm pretty sure my sense of this, you know, I was saying this at lunchtime, my sense of this virus is that we probably will get a bit of a reprieve round about summertime, depending on what part of the world you live in. For Lauren, you're probably going to get yours round about wintertime. And then they think the second wave will come in the fall. And by the time we've gone through that one, hopefully we will have got vaccination by then. Let's hope so. Have any of you been watching Chris Como? He tested positive, and he's actually doing a little bit of a broadcast every night. You know, quite honestly, Anderson Cooper has taken over his slot to help him, but they do interview him every night. And, you know, poor Sanjay Gupta, you know, Dr. Gupta keeps telling him, Chris, go to bed. But Chris is trying to do the world a service by talking about what's physically happening to him every day, which is fascinating. And how he communicates, you know, he's fortunate enough to have been able to isolate himself in his basement. But he's showing you how he communicates with his wife and children. But it's really interesting. I have no idea, Nyasha, when it would be for Trinidad and Tobago. I think you've only just got it, right? So it depends. You know, it might be totally different for Trinidad and Tobago. Well, you know, you've only just started, Nyasha. We're only at the front end of it. I think we will probably end up in isolation for months. That is my feeling. I don't think we'll be out of this before June. I think we might, you know, if we're lucky in North America, we might get a bit of a break. We might get a bit of a break July, August, but I think we'll be back maybe even September. But I think come October, we'll probably repeat of this to some degree. I guess the good news will be at least we'll have the equipment by then that we need. So not as many people will die, hopefully. But again, I would like you all to be really aware before you scare yourself stupid. Yeah, some people will die from this, but you know, the interesting thing is I have been keeping a running total of the percentage. And whilst the percentage is going up in the States, I think you're up to now 2.2% of people who contract the virus will die from it. But it's 2.2% at the moment. So think about those numbers, right? First of all, if you stay inside and don't go out and interact with people, you're unlikely to get it. However, it is possible that you could get it. Nyasha, how are you guys getting groceries and things? Are people doing shopping for you, or who's going out to do the shopping? Is it one? I know that you've got a lot of families living together. You've got extended family living together. So I wondered if one person is doing the shopping for all the families and then distributing it between them. How are you coping with that? And, the other thing is, how do you guys feel, particularly in the States, where, 3/4 of the states have got telling people to stay at home, but there's this 25% that refuses to do that. So what's the point of the rest of you all going home and staying there if this swath down the center of the United States can't be bothered? And I couldn't believe it. There was some governor who said, well, he didn't know until this week that that was important. What rock was he living under? We have had the experts telling us for months now that we need to isolate, that we need to stop going out, that we need to only go out in an emergency. And this guy is saying, oh, we only just heard about it. Yeah, right. You really want us to believe that? And I noticed that the blame game is the new thing, right? See how many people we can blame. Because, certain people are in. Yeah, Jody's saying it's absolutely embarrassing. Yeah. Well, I think that is what it is. It is embarrassing. All right. So Lauren is saying, even in Tasmania, people are ignoring the stay-at-home rule. You know something, Lauren? This will get so bad, even in Tasmania, that they will have to bring in fining people who are out unless they are out for a good reason. That's what's going to, I warned you that we would end up with the situation in grocery stores, but I'm pretty sure that the next thing you're going to see is that we will almost have to fine people who are out without good reason. And so what is a good reason? That is for them to decide. And Yasha saying, unfortunately, there isn't that service here. Yes, we live on a family land, but within my household, only 3 individuals. We've got a few groceries, right? But somebody must be doing the day-to-day, the sort of once a week shopping. I just wondered who's doing that, Nyasha. All right, so Kez is saying a lot of those 70 fashion statements have come back into fashion many times. I'm going that actually, if you hang on to your clothes long enough, they will come back again, right? I kept hold of my winkle picker shoes, the stiletto and the very sharp-toed ones for the longest time. But I couldn't. I'd have to cut off half my toes now to get into this. No, I don't think so. How did we wear those? Spikes like this, and then forcing our feet into. I used to go to the. I can remember being in London and walking like 6 blocks in those heels to go to the laundromat because we didn't have laundry in the apartment where I lived in London. I can remember doing that in stiletto heels. You're going, why didn't you wear runners? Oh, it was unheard of that you would leave the house in runners. That only came in, when did that come in, people? 70s, maybe? I got a feeling it might have come in the 70s where people started to do that. And, people were horrified. You went to work wearing runners and then changed into your shoes? Hi, Shara. It's just like, I can remember that so well. Yeah, I do it all the time. Tez is saying, has anyone ever not only talked to themselves, but also answered themselves as well? I do it every day. Where I'll be doing something, I go, oh no, did I really do that? And I go, yep, you did, Sal. Yep. All right. So Niasha's saying no one does the shopping for us but ourselves. My dad goes out. My mum used to, but due to the virus, he goes alone. Good. And now we're on a lockdown. Yeah, we're all on lockdown, but you still have to be able to get basic groceries. So I was showing people how I made a mask out of a scarf and coffee filters at lunchtime today. And it works really well for me. So we can do this, people. The most important thing, I believe, the most important thing that you can do during this time is to keep control of your mind. Because this is not going to be a 1 or 2 week thing, it's going to be months of this. And so, if you know, it's about please keep your mind occupied. Don't for a minute think that you can't cope with this. You're going to have to cope with it. So you might as well learn something, enjoy something, renovate a room. As I said, paint a room a new color. You have the paint delivered and, paint a room a new color and find things to do. Jody, you've been doing a good job. And I want to say that I'm so proud of you because you and Lionel are grieving and dealing with this. So that's a double whammy for you guys. Oh, so Jody's saying about the runners might have come in the 80s, all right, wearing your runners to work, right? Because she remembers Melanie Griffith in Working Girl. Yes, Sigourney Weaver as well. Who was the third? I can see Sigourney Weaver, and I can't think. Oh, you know who it is? I can see her. Diane. Why can't I think of her name? I can see her. Always wears white, nearly always wears white pants type suits. Oh, she always wears very crisp white. Keaton, thank you, Diane Keaton. Maria, you are a lifesaver. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right, so yeah, Nyash is saying that they've now got an edict out that there's a stay-at-home order and anyone seen on the streets will be penalized. He doesn't want to go anymore for fear of a fine. So I don't know what's going to happen now. I'm waiting and watching. You must be allowed to go out to get groceries. That must be allowed. They can't have you starve to death. Kez is saying, I was a child in the late 70s and I remember my mum had a big afro. Oh yeah, the afro. And did anyone? Yeah, I had that afro. I permed my hair. Oh, I've probably got pictures of it somewhere if I can find them for you. With those crazy hairstyles, yeah. How about the beehive before that? Before the afro, we had let us now tease our hair until it stands up here. Yeah. That was insane. And, I used to have this incredible, I had long hair and I used to pile it up on top of my head like this. If you see the original pictures of Marie Presley when she first met Elvis, that was it. Mary Tyler Moore and Rhonda. Yes, if you watch any of those Mary Tyler Moore things, that was also the 50s. Good idea, guys. It was, it was great time. I do have pictures of me in a hot pants suit somewhere, or not hot pants, and in the hot pants. I do have a picture of me wearing those, but I don't think you can see that. Yeah, Priscilla Presley, definitely. When she married Elvis, she used to have a lot of hair. And it was amazing how that was just the fashion. It used to take forever, people. I used to wear mine right up. I had long hair and I used to, have it piled up. Um, Gosh, that's incredible to think about it now. Who's got time for that? um, all right, so Niash is saying that the same as us, that the essential places are open, but I don't know what they intend to do because they talk about us the virus increasing number of cases. Yeah, I want to tell you something, Niasha. You are allowed to go out to go shopping for fruit and veg, for groceries. You are allowed to do that. No country can stop you from going out to get groceries. What they're saying is if they catch you going out to go play ball or do something, no, that's not allowed. But to go, for example, I had to go to the bank to get money. Now, there's no way I can get that money without leaving the house. So I had to leave the house. That's considered an emergency thing. And that's the only time I have left the house in 3 weeks. And I am now starting to recheck 2 weeks from that date whether I, contracted anything on that trip, which is very possible, right? So I'm starting to sort of keep track again. Yes, no, it has to be they call an emergency thing. Getting food is considered okay. I cannot believe that you're not allowed to go and get food. And yeah, so don't even think about that. There's no country alive that's going to stop you from getting food. Any of the essentials. Let's make sure we know it. It will be food. You get gas for your car. It would be considered an essential thing. What else? There's another one. What's the other one? Food, gas, banking. What are the other essentials? Oh, um, medical appointments. Yes, that's considered an essential. So some stores, that you wouldn't expect to be open are. For example, Dollar General is open. Beth works at Dollar General, and that's open because it also sells food. So, yeah, the pharmacy, that's what I was thinking of. Thanks, Isabel. The chemist, some of you call it chemist rather than the pharmacy. So, those are things that are going to stay open. And they will continue to stay open. They have to, they're essential services. Obviously, anything to do with medical. Although the problem is that everybody is going to be so busy dealing with the virus that they won't have time for what I call the regular illnesses the same way. So Niesh is saying they're even talking about closing down the banks because individuals are being gathered around the doors despite the social distancing agreement. All right, so that's bad management on the part of the banks. All right, you have to make sure that people do social distance. So if they're not controlling that properly, then yeah, they will stop that. They will stop allowing people to do that. So this is all about, people need to get smart. What I get so upset about, and I do get upset about this, and I'm going to have a vent about it, is even at my bank, they were so careful about making sure we were 6 feet apart going in, but they didn't care about the people who are coming out at all. So you were 6 foot away from the person in front of you, but this person, walked straight by you, almost shoulder to shoulder. So that's what scared me. And I'm going, I have no idea what they had. Because about 3 people passed me, and I'm going, I have no idea if they're sick or not. So, we all take a risk in doing that. And that's why they're saying only go out in an emergency. So I think the other thing is this. Jody, I wonder if you could just quickly check on something for me. I don't know if you can do that without it being too much of a problem. But I was wondering what the statistic of deaths of the regular is. Yeah, what is the percentage of deaths from a regular flu? Not necessarily this one. Because I think what we forget is the regular flu kills a lot of people as well. But we don't have it, in the front of the news every single day. All right, so Niesh is saying that in Trinidad and Tobago, prisoners are even being let out of jail because the governments here say it will help lessen the cases of the virus. But it's the small crime cases, yes, and that makes sense to me. All right, and that probably that your jails are overpopulated anyway, as are most jails. And what they will do is they'll take the less important crimes and release those people to, lessen the chance of everybody getting the virus. So how has your life changed? Start typing that for me while I bring up the event countdown. You just give me some feedback here on how your life has changed already. It's going to change a lot more, but let me know how it's changed already. What have you noticed? Have any of you noticed the price of food going up? Which is something I warned about a while ago. Have any of you noticed that your ability to get the products that you want has gone up? It's more difficult to get the products that you want. Okay, thanks, Jody. Jody's saying typically about 0.1% of the population dies from the regular flu. So be aware that, flus are not good things at the best of times. All right, so here we go. Valentine's Day, for those of you who are romantic, we got 10 months and 16 days to go. Christmas is just 265 days away. I was saying at lunchtime, I want you guys to think about this quite seriously. If we are pretty sure that there's going to be this next couple of months, we're going to be isolated probably, then a couple of months break, and then we'll be back into it again. It means that your shopping ability pre-Christmas is going to get affected. So please, whatever you can buy online, do it. Whatever you can make while you've got time, do it now. Get your Christmas cards ready. And how many of you got more Christmas cards at home than you can shake a sticker? I am amazed as I'm unpacking. I'm going, more Christmas cards. It's just like, oh, look at that, more Christmas cards. I could start my own Christmas card shop. Well, you've got 8 months and 1 day in which to get those cards into the mail, as far as I know. Oh, I didn't take my antihistamine, obviously. Sorry, everybody. We've got 7 months and 26 days until the US Thanksgiving. And Canadians, we have less time because we have ours in October, not November. And we've only got 6 months away. All right, so Jody is saying that her anxiety has increased as prices and availability of items become more difficult, and increasing how much we stock in the pantry. Yes, I'm still stocking up in the pantry. All right, so Nyasha's saying that she's scared because individuals there don't seem to want to obey the rules and they want to do whatever they like. Crime is a daily occurrence here. It's not nice. So just think about, something, Nyasha, that's true of any place today. All right? Any place. I live in an area that has quite a high crime rate, or I did. I've just moved out of it. But, every town today has a high crime rate. There are very few that are not. Isabel saying, I have nails now. I've been planning. I was going to the grocery store every day. Now it's challenging, but why would you go every day? That's putting yourself at risk every day. If you can, Isabel, try going once a week maximum. Quite honestly, Nyasha, just understand that everybody has that problem. It's not just you guys, all right? I'm pretty sure that every prison in the world will start releasing prisoners. Oh, you're not doing it anymore, Isabel. You used to go shopping every day. Now you know. I literally, Isabel, have got my shopping being delivered to me, and I've got it worked out until I think the last date I have at the moment is April the 14th. I've got a feeling I got a break this week. I better be careful what I use this week because I don't think I've got a delivery this week or next week. I got to be really careful. I might even have to call for more. You've got 3 months to get your taxes done in the States, and you've got just on about 2 months in Canada. I think you all know that Easter is a week away, and some of you I know are Catholic and are going to really be affected by not being able to go to Mass. You will just learn a new way of celebrating. I tried to say at lunchtime that I really think God knows what's going on. Expect that. So, just be aware that you just keep doing the best you can. High anxiety from Sandy. My husband does the shopping and he's afraid to bring something home. Okay, so do you clean the stuff that comes into your house, Sandy? We've all got that problem, right? You can't bring groceries in without bringing groceries in. So what I'm doing is I've got sort of different levels of cleaner. I've got cleaner that I will spritz onto packages. I've got cleaner that I drop my fruits and vegetables into a mixture of vinegar and water to disinfect them. And I leave them in there for about 15 minutes, and then I rinse them off and put them in the fridge. We can only do the best we can. If I have mail arriving, I even spritz the mail. All right. So this is called you do what you can. Australia, the Prime Minister Morrison said that we will probably be on restriction for at least 6 months. Yep. There's a vaccination. They still have to do more tests. That should be available in about 18 months, right? Amazing, right? So what I heard today, Kez, and I'm not sure if that is true, but they're saying they reckon that within 18 months we should return to normal. So if you expect things to go back to normal within the next 6 months, you're going to be sadly mistaken. They think it'll take 18 months before things go back to normal, if we're lucky. And that's why I keep saying to you, please be prepared, not scared. All right? Being scared is not going to help you. Being prepared could save your life. And that's why we're doing the broadcast that we do at lunchtime on a Friday, is to make sure that you stay prepared. And I will continue to do that. I want you to be prepared mentally. I want you to be prepared financially. I want you to be prepared for what will happen. All right? This is not a short-term thing. This is a long-term thing. Literally, this is like going to war. It's going to be very tough on a lot of people. Funny enough, I was saying at lunchtime, the ones that probably will feel it the least, strangely enough, are those that are already in some way disabled, or people like myself that are already retired and we've already downsized and we've already living on far less. All right, Sandy's saying, oh yes, we have a spot where they go and they are cleaned before coming into the house. He wears a mask, wears gloves, even mail sits for days before we touch it. Yeah. You see, clever, Sandy. And that's why I'm saying I carry a little spritzer, so when I go to the mailbox, as I take that envelope out of the mailbox, I spritz it and then I hold it the other way and I spritz it the other way. And I carry the little bottle of spritz with me. All right, so Niasha's saying 2020 is a bad year. It's never existed because I don't ever want to remember that year. Well, you will remember it for the rest of your life. Not wanting it to be there is not going to change anything. It's there. It's like 9/11. This is going to be in our lives. We all will remember it for as long as we live, because it's the only time we've ever lived through this as a world. This is not one country or one county. This is the whole world is suffering from this. And so, but I think in that we have great strength. That's interesting. So let's do that one, because that is interesting. Hang on a second. That is a really great idea, Sandy. So Sandy's saying that her husband, when he goes to get the mail, puts his hand in a paper bag, okay, grabs the mail out of the mailbox, and then all right, so then he flips the bag, right? And then they leave it outside for a number of days. How long can the virus stay on paper? I think 3 or 4 days, right? So we're all going to be doing strange things. Now, you also know, because it's human nature, that some people are not going to take any of those precautions and they won't get sick. It just is. It's just the way that life is. So we can only be as careful as we can be, and we choose to be. I know, just watching Chris Como, he really looks quite sick, and as he said, he thought he was being really careful, but obviously not careful enough. But you never know, who's got it and who hasn't. And that's why it's really important for us to be prepared. I want you to be prepared. What happens? 72 hours on paper. How long on clothes? We actually, Jody, for next week, why don't we get some information on that? Can we do that for next week, Friday lunchtime, where we revisit how long stuff stays on things? I think we need to keep reminding people. Yes, it is a sad time for all of us, Niasha. And we're all in the same boat, right? And it's difficult and really, really terrifying. Yes, I'm not terrified. I've got to be quite honest with you. I refuse to be terrified. I am busy. I'm not dwelling on it. If I end up getting it, I'll worry about it. But until then, I'm doing everything I can to stay safe, to keep in contact with my friends that I love, and to keep myself busy. I actually want to live my life. I don't want to be controlled by a virus. I will be controlled in as much as I won't leave the house. But other than that, I will leave the house and go into my garden. But, other than that, I'm living my life. I'm just living it in a different way. And I have literally a routine that I do that takes me all day. So I'm not sitting around thinking about it. I am not terrifying myself. I keep track of the numbers because I'm a numbers person. But I'm pretty certain that I will continue to broadcast as long as I'm humanly capable of doing it. And I will not let this get me down mentally or physically if I can possibly help it. And so to me, it's a mentality. I'm eating well, but I'm also noticing that there are certain things that are creeping into my diet. There's part of me that goes, hey, if this is the last 6 months I've got on this earth, I'm going to have a cupcake. I'm not going to have a whole cake, I'm going to have a cupcake and I'm going to enjoy it. I am in control within the framework of the rules. Yes, Jody, that's what I'm trying to do. I have control of how happy I am, whether I want to scare myself stupid or if I just want to get on with my life. At the moment, I'm really too busy to worry too much about it. Here's this saying in Australia now, because the people haven't been listening, the Prime Minister and gathering outside now, you get instantly fined for doing that. And that's how it should be. Absolutely. That is how it should be. And it will have to happen across the world as well. By the way, Kez, it's amazing from the figures that I've been seeing in Oz. You've done an incredible job so far of keeping this under control. I think your death rate of the people that have contracted the virus, your death rate is only 0.4% when I did the figures yesterday. And, you know, when you compare that to the US, it's 2.2. So you guys are doing a great job. I think Canada is 1.2 at the moment. So you understand you're doing a great job at the moment. But I think you got it later. So, you know, you're probably a month behind in some ways, but I could be wrong on that. But live your life as best you can within the rules that you've been given. Don't worry about the people who are not obeying the rules. That's for your governments to sort out. Getting angry at them. You know, I keep getting emails from people that are really so angry because other people aren't obeying the rules. And I'm going, you know, that's not your concern. It is the government's concern. Oh, Sandy's saying, yes, some people had a party on Tuesday here in Ontario. They were fined, and they should be heavily fined. All right? And not only that, you know what I'd make them do? I'd make them wear the, you know, if we could afford to do it, the full protective gear and go and watch somebody who's got pneumonia and dying from it. I'd make them go and do that horror story and go, you want to mix and have party? This is what you're going to cause. You know, the same way as, you know, you've got to show people what the risk is because they're not getting it. They're not, you know, some people, stupid people, are not getting it. Or I'd like to suggest people who think they're entitled, that the rules don't apply to them. The rules apply to everybody else, but not them. And we all know people like that. But you will again drive yourself insane if you want to get angry about that. What you've got to do is say, hey, there are going to be stupid people. There are going to be entitled people. I cannot control them. I can only control myself and do my best for myself and my family. All right, so Niesh is saying, for me, it's terrible because I'm not accustomed to eat provisions and other foods from back in the day. My parents tell me, well, you've got to eat what you have, but you're not accustomed to it. I said that, Nyasha. I think this will be harder, funny enough, on the generation behind you. The sort of people who are in their early 20s to 30s now. I think it'll be really hard on them because they've grown up with everything. All right. And now they're going to not have everything. They can't go and get the chips from the cupboard, and they're not going to be able to get half the foods that you're used to. Yeah. And so for a lot of you, whereas other people, Nyasha, are going, okay, I can't get that now. How do I make it at home? Right? And that's what you're learning to do. Nyasha, I heard you learned how to make ice cream. Good for you. And the next thing is you'll learn how to make it, maybe sell it to people. All right? And make income that way. Yes, and Jody's saying, Jody's looking at it that she's grateful to have food at all right, and because it could get that difficult. Yeah, Isabel's saying you'll learn really quickly when you're hungry. I was talking at lunchtime, and I would ask you to have a look at that. At lunchtime, I was also talking about don't waste any food. You got to look at leftovers and see leftovers as a really important meal. Make one meal a week at least with leftovers, because you're going to need to get into that habit. Right. And, Sandy's saying that's why the Toronto Mayor came out with the real projected numbers of deaths today. Projection numbers, yeah, of how many they thought will die, in the hope to scare people who aren't listening. And you know what I think, quite honestly, Sandy? Those people who haven't got scared yet are probably not going to get scared. They still think it's not going to affect them, unfortunately. Nyasha, and that's what we're all doing, honey. You're not, you haven't got it very much different from any of us. If I want to eat ice cream, I'm going to have to learn to make it. All right, because I won't have room. Ice cream will not be what I will give room in my fridge. I will be making room in my fridge to keep meat and vegetables, not ice cream. So any fancy desserts like that, I'm going to either have to learn to make it or I'm going to do without. Or maybe, once in a while I will order some in. I don't think I've had ice cream since I moved here. Maybe it's time to get it on the order list. But I don't have room in my fridge or freezer. So, it's not that you are different, Nyasha. We're all struggling with it. Do you understand that? All right? It's not just you guys in Trinidad and Tobago. We are all learning to adapt, and we will. That's the point I'm trying to make. We will adapt because we have to. And I would recommend that a lot of you start reading any stories you can find about the people who survived the war years, people who survived concentration camps, and how they did it. Why? It'll make you realize that we have got it so good. We have the internet. We have ability to talk to people. We have, more cooking shows online than we can shake a stick at. We can become, we can educate ourselves to an incredible degree if we want to during this time. We can knit Afghans, we can crochet Afghans, we can do so many things, or we can sit at home and feel sorry for ourselves. What are you going to do? Your mental health is your choice. Make a decision. All right? Okay, everybody. So we will, as I said, we will be here for as long as we possibly can, and we will keep bringing you, if you're finding it helpful, we'll keep bringing you more ideas, maybe some more fun ones and so forth, but we will keep doing our best to make sure that you're prepared and not scared. I think when you realize the stuff we were talking about a month ago has happened, that we will keep looking ahead to see what we can think of to help you. And if you can think of things that you'd like me to discuss, let me know. All right, Nyasha's going to continue the test on the ice cream, and she's going to update us on Sunday. Well done, Nyasha. I'm delighted. I'm really interested to hear all about that. So look after one another, but please look after yourselves. Continue to be friends to people, please. Continue to tell them that you care about them, maybe more than you have before, because it is important. And don't dwell on it. I try and do mine just very quickly. Wanted to phone and let you know that I love you. All right, everybody. This is DearMamaSal saying, look after one another, but most of all, please, 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 be careful. Be smart. Be prepared, not scared. But most of all, look after you. You're very special to us. Life would not be the same without you. This is DearMamaSal saying bye-bye for now. See you Sunday. Bye.